Did you know that almost 600,000 people go missing in the U.S. every year?
It's a staggering number.
It is nearly 2,000 people every day just vanishing.
And while most are found, some cases, they stay unsolved.
Leaving behind so many questions.
And shattered lives.
Today, we're diving into one of those cases.
The disappearance of Lawrence Okonnell.
A man who just vanished in 1994.
On a Friday afternoon, no less.
First regular day, gone.
He was a family man, 35 years old.
Worked a steady job.
At Voice of America.
Learning Mandarin in his spare time, even.
A real go-getter.
Then, poof.
Gone.
It's the kind of story that makes you, look over your shoulder a little bit.
Makes you think.
So let's unpack this case, shall we? What do we know?
Well, Lawrence was last seen leaving work little after 4 p.m.
Signed out, like always.
Yep, signed out.
And never seen alive again?
Never. His car was found in the parking lot at his apartment complex, though.
In his rented parking spot, right?
Yes, but not parked the way he usually parked it.
Oh.
And the rear license plate, it was oddly bent.
Bent. Like it was used to transport something heavy.
That's what investigators initially thought.
Makes sense. So they thought he was abducted right there.
It was a busy area, though.
Right.
Nobody saw anything unusual.
And then his credit card.
Yeah, then things get really strange.
It pops up all over town.
There was an attempted ATM withdrawal near his work.
Okay.
Then purchases at a shopping center over in Maryland.
Really?
3 orders of Chinese food, among other things.
Wait, hold on. That timeline just doesn't make sense. Friday afternoon.
I know, right?
Rush hour, traffic, all those places.
It's just not possible.
Like whoever was using the card wanted to create chaos.
To throw the police off.
And then, of course, there's that whole thing at the liquor store.
Ah, yes. The woman trying to buy Hennessy with Lawrence's card.
And takes off running when she hears police outside.
Runs right out of there.
Panicked, it sounds like.
Right.
But was she in on it? Or just found the card?
That's the question.
I mean, she matched the description from the ATM.
The cashier said, short woman, baseball cap, glasses.
Same as the ATM footage.
And she even left the card behind.
In her rush to get out of there.
The police were convinced she was involved, especially when a handwriting expert,
You got a match?
well, he said the signature on the credit card slip matched a woman named Susan.
So they had their suspect. Case closed.
Not quite. Turns out this handwriting expert wasn't all he claimed to be.
Oh.
Using bogus methods, claimed to be an expert in everything. Handwriting, firearms, fingerprints.
You can't be an expert in everything.
Exactly. Jack of all trades, master of none.
But they still zeroed in on this Susan.
She was living in a homeless shelter at the time with her kids.
And they brought her in for questioning.
17 hours.
Wow. That's intense.
Gave her a voice stress test even, which, by the way, are notoriously unreliable.
17 hours in that kind of environment.
It gets worse, actually. The detective in charge, Detective Traum, realized later he'd accidentally fed Susan details.
He gave her details about the crime.
During the interrogation, without realizing it. And she confessed.
Oh, wow. So she was just trying to tell them what they wanted to hear, using the details they gave her.
Tragically, Susan spent 8 months in jail for a crime she didn't commit.
8 months. And it was all based on a false confession. It makes you wonder how many other confessions aren't what they seem.
It's a chilling thought, and it shows just how high the stakes can be when investigations go wrong.
And Detective Traum, how did he react when he realized what happened?
To his credit, he owned up to it, even wrote about it to help other investigators avoid the same mistake. He's a good guy, trying to do the right thing.
Trying to make things better.
But Lawrence's case, it suffered because of this. By the time they cleared Susan, almost a year had passed.
A year wasted.
And because charges were filed, even though they were dropped later, the case is considered closed.
Technically closed, but not solved.
Not solved.
Closed, but unsolved. It's a bureaucratic term, I guess. But for Lawrence's family, it's an open wound.
It really shows how one mistake, one human error, can have huge consequences.
We'll come back to that part of the story in a bit. But first, let's dig a little deeper into the evidence. That credit card trail, the mystery woman,
Yeah.
and the possibility of DNA evidence. We're back and still trying to make sense of the credit card trail in the Lawrence Okonnell case. It's just so strange.
It really is like a puzzle within a puzzle. It seems chaotic on purpose.
To mislead, yeah.
But at the same time, those purchases, those locations,
That to mean something,
they
right?
could hold clues about the killer's motive or maybe even their connection to Lawrence.
Like those 3 orders of Chinese food.
Exactly, 3. Why? Was it just random
Maybe the killer knew that specific restaurant.
or needed an alibi, buying time while the food's being made?
That's interesting. And the ATM withdrawal, too.
Right near Lawrence's work.
Why try it there? With all the cameras.
Was it just for the cash or?
A way to mess with the police.
It's possible they were trying to plant evidence, yeah.
Taunting the police almost. Leaving a trail that leads nowhere.
That brings us back to the woman at the liquor store.
She ran, so obviously she knew the card wasn't hers.
Right, why run if you've got nothing to hide?
So was she in on it from the beginning? Or
Maybe she got caught up in something she didn't understand. Imagine she was given the card, told it was okay to use.
and then freaks out when she hears about the police.
Exactly, realizing what's really going on.
That's scary. But then that means more than one person had to be involved, right? If she's just using the card.
Yeah, you'd need someone else to drive Lawrence's car, right?
Especially if it was used to transport something.
And the killer would need their own car, too.
So who were these people? How do they even know Lawrence?
Were they just random criminals looking for an easy target?
Or is it something more, personal?
We know Lawrence was a family man. Quiet.
Devoted to his work.
No enemies that anyone knew of. No risky business.
So if it wasn't a random crime, then what? What was the motive?
That's the hardest part to figure out, isn't it? No clear motive, no real suspect.
Just speculation. Mistaken identity, maybe.
A jealous coworker.
Or something we haven't even considered.
There are so many possibilities.
And it feels like we may never know the truth. All those years ago.
Well, there's always hope. Technology's come a long way.
DNA analysis, right? You think that could help with a case this old?
His body was found bound, remember? And they found that bloody rock.
Oh, right. So those things, even after all this time.
There could be DNA on them that they couldn't test back then.
It's amazing to think something we can't even see could solve this. Makes you wonder if the killer ever thought about that.
That even years later, their DNA could catch up to them.
It's a sobering thought.
And it reminds us to never give up hope.
To keep looking at these cases with fresh eyes. Because for every Lawrence Okonnell,
There's a family out there still waiting for answers.
this case, it really makes you think
It does, doesn't it?
about how easily things can go wrong.
And how, even with the best intentions,
Yeah. Like Detective Trum, clearly a good guy,
trying to do his job,
admitted his mistake.
tried to make things better.
But still,
Still, the damage was done.
it makes you wonder, though. What if he hadn't realized what happened?
Susan could still be in prison.
For a crime she didn't commit?
And Lawrence's real killer.
Still out there.
It's a chilling thought.
So what can we take away from all this? What does it mean for our listeners?
Well, it shows that anyone can make mistakes.
Even the experts.
Even the experts, and that those mistakes can have huge consequences.
And all need to be more vigilant.
Exactly. We need to keep questioning.
Keep pushing for the truth.
Because behind every case file, there's a real person.
A family.
A family whose lives have been shattered.
Lawrence was a father,
A husband.
a son.
His life mattered, and his murder deserves to be solved.
Someone out there knows something. Maybe they saw something that day. Or maybe they've heard something. A rumor.
Something they thought was insignificant at the time.
But even the smallest detail could be important. So if you have any information about Lawrence Okonnell's disappearance, please contact the police.
The Metropolitan Police Department. The number is 202-727-9099.
You could hold the key to solving this case.
To bringing justice for Lawrence and his family.
We've explored the twists and turns of this case, the missteps, the mysteries.
It's a reminder that the search for the truth is never truly over.
And we hope this deep dive has been eye-opening.
Thought-provoking.
If you found it insightful, please subscribe to the deep dive for more. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.